What's going on, guys? This is part 2 to my coverage of the 4th annual 2023 Winter Forge training event put on by S&S Training Solutions in collaboration with Life Fighter Studies Group and One Shepherd. This episode will cover day 2 of the Winter Leaders course. So if you haven't seen part 1 yet, please go there and check it out first. Part 2 covers a practical application exercise in which the warrior leaders are tasked with the mission of establishing a bivouac site in order to operate.
I'm not really sure about the rest of these people, but
okay. Group, attention! Oh! Ball out. All right, guys, break out in your classes. WWC with me and Parker, WLC with Tyler. Go.
Basically, battalion wants us, they're going to plush your patrol up today, okay? Keeping that in mind, one of the key indicators that you guys all picked up was the planned infiltration point here. There's not a lot of good spot for the vehicle to dismount troops under cover, okay? But the adjacent reconnaissance team that was on this side of the road, one of the things they noticed was, and we didn't see this, there's a road that comes back in here to under cover, okay? And so battalion's not comfortable dismounting troops here, but they are willing to dismount troops here. So for today's mission, when you guys infiltrate, battalion's going to drop you off here, okay?
Is it there or is it there? I thought it was here.
Excuse me. Yes, it's right there where it starts turning in.
And it's low ground. It's low ground, so you do have good terrain masking, and it's right there, right?
So this is going to be your dismount point here. Our recommendation is that you find a suitable bivouac location in that area. Okay, so when you guys get there, you guys can do a quick reconnaissance and find a suitable bivouac location.
There's two lifts.
There's two lifts.
There's one. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So you guys are gonna have two lifts. Okay. The first lift is gonna be the PL and the reconnaissance party. Okay. And the second lift is gonna be the remainder of the patrol with the bivouac tent equipment. Okay. So for the next 12 hours, your mission is to establish a mission support site, a life support site. Here in that location, okay? You're not beholden to a specific grid or anything like that, but just keep in mind however far you think you guys can carry the tent equipment.
Okay, so we're going to put a bivouac in this area.
Yeah,
that's right.
Can we? I want to do an admin timeout, guys. Let's talk about what the learning point here. First learning point is for you guys is that we want you to be able to lead the troops doing this task. Okay, that's the first learning outcome. For them, the learning outcome is they're being introduced to this tent for the very first time, this 5-man Arctic tent. They are doing a drill and putting it up and taking it down. So they're learning to do that here administratively on the FOB. This is an exercise for them that you're going to lead them in. So they learn to do that, number one, in the field, and number two, with under a tactical environment. Okay, so that's their learning outcome.
Following the brief of the mission, the leaders would then go into a planning phase. For this exercise, since I was going to be the patrol leader for the S&S side during the FTX, which will be featured in part 3, I'll be tasked with being the patrol leader for this exercise.
All right, so like situation over the last 48 hours, the enemy has pushed across. They've established a bridgehead. They pushed across and they're starting to assemble to our north, okay, a large formation. We don't know exactly where they're forming and massing, all right? So our squad has been tasked with conducting reconnaissance of this area to get an idea of where they're at, if they're even there. All right, so we're going to be establishing a bivouac site in the vicinity of 4895, 1866. I'll say again, establishing our bivouac in the vicinity of 4895, 1866. That's where we're looking to establish our bivouac. We have not located an actual site yet. We need to conduct a leader's recon, okay? So this is going to be broken down into 9 separate phases, all right? First phase, right now, you're in it, okay? That's going to be the output I'm giving you, packing and prepping for this mission. Phase 2 is going to be movement to 4895, 1866. At 1200, we're going to launch in 2 different sticks. So the first stick is going to consist of myself, the patrol leader, all the team leaders, okay? So Mike Klein, Will Sherlin, the RTO, and we're going to depart the FOB en route to that location. All right, that's going to be stick 1. Everybody else is going to be on stick 2, which consists of Team 2 and the assistant patrol leader. Oh wait, as you were. Sorry, I left out Team 1. You will be on stick 1 as well. Okay? So stick 2 will consist of the assistant patrol leader and Team 2 with all of the bivouac gear. So the tents, the stoves, all that shit. All right, everybody good? So first stick goes out with just personnel. Second stick goes out with the team, the APL, and all the rest of the bivouac equipment. Once Team 1 steps off at 1200, we're going to insert and we're going to conduct a leader's recon. Team 1, you're going to be tasked with setting up security at the drop-off site. The drop-off site is going to be our ORP. Okay? So as soon as we get on the deck, Team 1, I want you towards the back of the truck. You're going to jump off the truck and you're going to set up immediate security at that drop-off site. All right? Will, you good?
Good.
All right, so there, guys, establish security at the ORP. Team leaders, we're going to get off. We're going to consolidate. We're going to look around. If there's not a bivouac site in that immediate area, we're going to start punching out and conducting a leader's recon of the area to try to find a suitable bivouac site. Ideally, we're going to try to keep it as close as we can to the drop-off site, but understand it's going to dictate if there's even something suitable over there, right? And we're looking for all the good shit that goes into finding a good bivouac site, right? Good overhead cover to protect us from drones, good ground cover to protect us from visual observation, all right? We're looking for good terrain, all that stuff, all right? So that's what the leader's recon is going to be doing. As we're conducting the leader's recon, that truck's going to leave and make its way back to the fob. Stick 2, you're going to mount the truck once it gets back to the fob, and you're going to step off, ideally, at 12:30. However, if the timeline gets pushed to the right a little bit, so be it, okay? But ideally, truck gets back, you guys are on it, rolling by 12:30. All right, so that was all part of phase 2. We get inserted, security's established at ORP, and we're kicking out our leader's recon.
Following my order, both Winter Leaders and Winter Warriors classes were combined and task organized. Once the exercise began, we'd be trucked out in the Unimog in 2 sticks. The first stick would be the bulk of the leadership with a security element in order to locate and designate a suitable bivouac site. Upon arrival of the second stick, the men were then led to a selected bivouac site to begin priorities of work and establishing life support measures in order to operate in a cold weather environment. Now granted, we weren't exactly getting extreme cold weather temperatures during this training, but it'd be a good practical application training experience for what we were about to face during the upcoming FTX. Once the security was established, the patrol was broken up into multiple working teams. These teams all had specific tasks, such as putting up the Arctic tent and setting up the stove. Simultaneously, one warrior would be designated as the cook. He's tasked with establishing a field kitchen and getting hot wets ready for the men as soon as possible. Other tasks include collecting pine boughs. These would be used in lining the floor of the Arctic tent in order to put a layer of insulation between us and the ground. Additionally, a rifle rack is constructed just outside the Arctic tent. In a cold weather environment, it is necessary to keep the weapons outside of the hooch to make them less susceptible to the negative impacts on the weapons from moving them in and out of the vast changes in temperature going in and out of a heated tent. One of the final tasks to do is the building of a field shitter so that business can be done in a centralized location away from our living area. We don't want men wandering in and out of the camp, potentially creating a blue-on-blue situation with the site's defensive positions. Additionally, if there's snow on the ground, you're increasing the possibility of discovery by the enemy due to the increased presence of tracks in the snow. One key aspect, in addition to terrain masking our site, is to make sure we have sufficient overhead concealment for camouflage from discovery from drones. This can be a challenge in a winter environment due to the loss of leaves on many trees. Once all tasks were completed and our site was up and running, the cadre decided to pay us a little visit with an enemy probing attack. After all enemy were killed, we then consolidated for a quick hot wash over everything that had transpired up to that point.
So that's got to go on the list for the FTX, right? Good to catch that stuff here in the stick sling. Some stuff with the tent. Obviously, you guys have it right with the prevailing wind coming out of the north. Typically, this time of year, you want the door facing away from that. The biggest thing we saw was the stove and the fuel can set up in a downhill way to where the fuel won't flow into the stove. So if we would have rotated the door to about here and put the fuel can and the stove up here, it would have allowed for proper operation. Obviously, you guys didn't start it up. We wanted you guys just to put it in there, and this came to light because of that. So that's why we want you guys to pack it out, even though you're not starting it up. Something else, Kerfman noticed this may have got bumped on contact or something like that, but it draped down and started laying this down on to the stovepipe there. So we want to make sure, one, that the stove's kind of pulled away from the wall a little bit, and two, that the guy lines are shored up. Was anyone cooking at the time of contact? What did you do?
I turned it off the stove and returned fire.
You turned off the stove and returned fire. Perfect. Excellent. Was there any holding any hot liquids or anything like that when the shooting started? Just food. Just hot food? So you just put it down real quick, got into contact. Yeah, without spilling it all over yourself and getting it burned. Pretty cool. Kerfman pointed out one more thing. Let's step to the side here. Point the stove towards the door. It gives you more room inside of the tent. That way you can enter and exit without bumping the stove. And now it's not jutting out into the center of the tent there. All right.
Stove burns really, really hurt. Mess your weekend up.
Let's see. What else you got?
Guy lines. When we set up the stove around the tent, if it got windy or something and that stove section would come off, it would probably rip a hole in that tent. So always, whenever we're actually setting up around tents, always guide that out.
Okay.
And that's got to go down to a stake.
Yeah, any of the stakes would have worked. Probably one to the back corner and one to those three would have been fine.
That's on me.
Okay. Lesson learned.
Lesson learned before doing it now.
Any other bivouac type stuff?
The rifle rack looks good. You guys get a latrine built?
Down the hill.
Okay. Right spot for it.
You got the cook site, not inside the tent. Perfect. Yep.
Also downhill, so they're getting filled.
Yep. Not gonna burn someone sleeping. All right, so let's go through the first contact.
Following the hot wash, we broke down the bivouac site and made movement back to our ORP to get picked up and transported back to the FOB. Well, that concludes the events of Day 2 and the completion of the Winter Warriors course. The next video will be coverage over the final culminating event at the training week, which is a 2-day-long field training exercise. This year was a special year marking the 10-year anniversary of S&S Training Solutions. In celebration of this Winter Forge would be a joint event featuring, for the first time, warriors from One Shepherd. And to top things off, I'd be the patrol leader of the S&S side, and the legendary Dr. Christopher Larson, the original founder of the One Shepherd Leadership Institute, would lead the One Shepherd side. So stay tuned, guys, for hands down the best Winter Forge FTX imaginable. Thanks for watching.